After all the hype built up to Loki, the first episode is finally released, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down everything, including all of the Easter eggs and everything you missed. Before we get into it, if you're new to my channel, I post everything related to Marvel Comics and MCU, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on a video. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. So the episode starts off with a recap from Avengers Endgame when Loki took the cube and escaped. When Loki vanishes, we can see he crashes into the Gobi Desert, and then TVA authorities show up to take Loki. As they're taking him back to the TVA, they put a device down that will reset the timeline, which will keep the flow of time intact, and these devices will be really important later on in the series, and I'll explain why later on in the video. When Loki arrives to the TVA, he tries to escape multiple times, but the authorities put a gadget around his neck that just magnetizes him back to them. Loki then meets a robot that changes his clothes and sends him into another room with a very random cat, and I think the show writers did this on purpose because cats are known to be very mischievous, and as we all know, Loki is the god of mischief. Loki then has to sign a stack of papers to confirm that is everything he has ever said, and since he's been alive for over 1,000 years, you would think it would be a lot more than that. After this, he nervously walks through a machine that confirms he's not a robot and does indeed have a soul. Loki grabs a ticket from a TVA guard and then watches a video with a southern accent cartoon explaining the TVA, the timekeepers, and the sacred timeline. Now this short animated video is probably one of the most important pieces to this whole episode because she explains how there was a multiversal war and the timekeepers used their powers to put it back into one sacred timeline. And that the timekeepers created the TVA, so for whenever people break the timeline, they're there to fix it. And another thing I want to point out is when she said if the timeline is left unchecked, it can break off into madness, and then shortly after this she said multiverse, so this could be hinting at Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. We then get to see Owen Wilson's Mobius for the first time, and it appears that the TVA's patrolmen keep getting attacked, so he goes up to a little girl in the church and asks her who did it, and she points at a devil figure. Now a lot of people are theorizing this could be Mephisto, but I honestly just think it's the figure that Mobius is searching for that's doing all these attacks on the TVA's patrolmen. Loki is now in the courtroom and he's blaming it on the Avengers because he actually realized they went back in time to get the Space Stone, and right as the judge pleads him to be reset, Mobius comes in and says he could use his help. Loki also tried using his powers in the courtroom, but he realized they did not work in the TVA. We then get to see our first interactions with Loki and Mobius, and Loki takes a look outside and sees the entire TVA and does not believe it's real. And as we're going along, you'll kind of pick up the pattern that Loki thinks the TVA is fake and it's a bad attempt at control, and he even says it in the episode as well. After this, Mobius and Loki then sat down, and Mobius tried to understand why Loki does the things he does and tried to explain to him that he was born to cause pain and suffering and make others the best versions of themselves, as we saw with the Avengers. When Mobius left and came back to his office, Loki was gone because he took the gadget from Mobius' pocket that made him vanish. Loki then found the Tesseract because he thought it would get him out of the TVA, but as he picked it up and looked in the drawer, he saw a bunch of Infinity Stones and realized none of them worked. And since Loki knows the power of the Infinity Stones, he realized that this place is no joke and it might be the most powerful place in the universe. When Loki returned back to Mobius' office, he watched his entire life play out and watched himself get closer with Thor and then ultimately die by the hands of Thanos. This was a very emotional scene, and the writers did this so they could reinvent the character of Loki and give him a new meaning. After Loki tells Mobius about his discoveries, Mobius asks him if he can find an alternate version of himself, which is Loki, on a different timeline, and that's who that mysterious figure actually was from the beginning of the episode. And then the episode ends with this alternate version of Loki doing another attack on the TVA patrols. And the main reason why this alternate version of Loki is doing all these attacks on the TVA is so he can collect all these timeline resetting devices, and that's why they're going to have such a big importance going into the future episodes. Overall, this episode was amazing and it did a phenomenal job on reinventing the character of Loki and giving him so much more story to tell in the future of the MCU, and also doing a great job on introducing the TVA and the Time Watchers. Anyways, that'll be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to smash that like button and hit that subscribe button for more weekly videos just like this. Also, I have a TikTok that I post daily videos on. If you're interested and want to go check it out, the link will be in the description down below. And with that being said, thank you for watching and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.